Hey guys, it's ExandShadow, and welcome back to Let's Play Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Last part, we started Chapter 8, and in this part we're going to continue further through the Palace of Shadow. Anyway, these things, you might recognize them from Paper Mario 1, yes, but from pretty much every Paper Mario games. These are the standard fire bars, and just like in Paper Mario 1, you can keep on jumping over them over and over again, and each time you jump over them, they get a little bit faster. And if you jump over them enough times, well, coins will fall out. There's really no point to it at this point in the game, because we've already gotten all of the coins we'll ever need, but whatever. Anyway, these are the enemies I'm talking about, which is why you want to have the ice power badge on. So I just end up taking off the power jump badge and putting the ice power badge on, because these are the last fire elemental enemies in the game, and they'll become pretty common throughout the rest of the chapter. So you're going to want to keep that ice power badge on. So, anyway, these guys, I don't exactly remember their names at the moment. Just a second, wait for Goomba. Phantom Embers. These guys function essentially like the embers that we've seen throughout the Chapter 5. Same sort of idea. All you have to do is just use your strongest attacks, and then you'll be fine. Because the Ice Power Badge gives you one more point of attack power, jumping is the best solution because you do 4 damage per each jump, making a total of 8. If you use your hammer, you'll only get 1 point added on, and then you'll have 7, which generally isn't as much as 8. Most of the time. There are some more complex maths where it is. But anyway, that's actually a lot of things with some of the more complex sets. Like, you'll see jump-only runs of Paper Mario more often than like hammer only runs, because doing jump only stuff is a lot easier just in general, because you have badges that make it easier to just jump and you do more damage in general. But hammer runs, that's not as common. Anyway, to get past those, you just gotta do a little bit of timing with your jumps in the tube form. Really not that hard. Anyway, this room's pretty much just empty, so it's not that big of a deal. Getting a little sense of deja vu. Oh shit, not this again. Grr. Ugh. None shall pass by. Let those who would disturb her sleep fall into the depths of earthless darkness. Eek! May the intruder never find the key to this door. So anyway, remember in Chapter 1 when we had to get rid of all the dull bones? Well, it's essentially the same thing here, only this time we gotta find the blue bones that is there, but only this time he's actually walking around, so you do have to chase him. Thankfully, he's got a pretty distinct color, so it's not too hard to find him. But once you find him, then the mini-boss battle starts. I don't know if you can get a first strike. I've never really been able to. But anyway, because these guys are all bones, using Fiery Jinx is by far the most effective way of dealing with these guys, because the dark bones in the middle takes a few turns to kill. So Fiery Jinx or Bob-omb Blast, which Bob already has, are very effective ways of taking out these guys. But however, there's also another way you can do this. This is the move that we got for beating Chapter 7. This is Supernova. No fancy minigame this time, you just got to mash the A button as fast as you can. Thankfully, I've played Banjo-Tooie and have beaten Canary Mary all 4 times, so this is nothing. So yeah, just keep on mashing the A button. It does get pretty hard towards the end though, you really gotta be mashing on that thing. But if you manage to do it enough, you can get 15 damage on every single enemy on the screen, which is a ton. If you're, depending on the type of enemy you're, fighting, you might be better off with Art Attack, because you can get as much, or maybe possibly even more damage to a single enemy with a less star power. But if you just need to nuke everything and there isn't really much, a better solution, and you've got the star points to do it, Supernova is pretty much your solution. However, I would not recommend it for just doing a bunch of damage on a single target. I would only recommend it if you have a lot of enemies in the same room. Anyway, I remember that there's one star power I don't actually end up showing off, and that's the one we got for beating Chapter 6, Showstopper. Basically, it functions like Vivian's Fiery Jinx, only longer chains. And once you get the, and once you fill out, I'm sorry, I'm babbling. But once you fill out all of the little button combination chains, then you can make some enemies disappear from the screen. It's only 2 star points, which makes it actually pretty abusable if you want to skip through battles, but I find it just generally easier to just avoid enemies to begin with. Anyway, a strategy that I should have used earlier is using Vivian to dodge these bullet bills. It's a little bit slow, but it gets the job done, and it's less tedious than trying to fight a whole bunch of them. And anyway, after beating those guys, we got some more star points. And a level after the star points, of course. Anyway, Vivian is probably going to be your best friend during this dungeon. Her and Bobbery. I generally have Vivian out more often than Bobbery, just because her attacks are a little bit more MP efficient, but Bobbery is also very useful. I said earlier that Bobbery and Vivian were tied to be my favorite characters in the game. I'd actually say that Vivian beats out Bobbery by just a little bit. But anyway, I upgraded badge points last time I leveled up, so I just decided that I'd apply the power jump and damage dodge badges right away. Ooh, super shroom. The enemies, if they drop items, you're gonna want to use them right away. Like I actually ended up using a hyper shroom. Ultra Shroom, sorry, that I found in the box right away because I didn't want to throw anything else out. But yeah, just use the items that you find along the way before anything else. If you have to do the little swap use and then pick back up that thing that I was using before, like, you know, if you drop something and then you pick up the item that you pick up the item, use it right away, and then pick up the thing you dropped. Because it's just better to use, like, say, an Ultra Shroom than an Ultra Jelly, you know what I mean? Or, especially if enemies drop, like, Super Shrooms or Honey Syrups or something like that. Use those right away, because, you know, you don't want to waste... if you have the opportunity to, you don't want to waste them. But anyway, yeah, that was just another bullet bill room. Nothing too special, no real thought process to go through, just dodge with Vivian, deal with the enemies, yada yada yada. Now we actually start seeing dry bones. Yeah, these are dry bones. Sorry, I get the dry bones and the dull bones mixed up every once in a while. But yeah, you get the dry bones. You got dry bones walking around here, and I'm deciding, do I want to use the Ultra Jelly to fill up 3 flower points? And, well, it's better than not having 3 flower points and just letting the thing go to waste. So, yeah, I do. Thankfully, this area is relatively big, so even though the enemies throw stuff at you, it's relatively simple to dodge all of them. So, yeah. Anyway, now we've got a little bit of a puzzle room here. People who have played Paper Mario 1 will kind of remember this. It's the same sort of idea. Basically, you have to go through the door that has the torch lit in front of it. There are 2 levels, the lower level and the upper level. The torch is on the lower level the first 2 times, so we want to go down there. There's no torch there this time, so we want to go to the upper level. If you mess up, you go back to the first room, the big one with the enemies in it, and then you're like, oh, sorry, you gotta start all over again. I do like this sort of puzzle because it's reminiscent of the sort of infinite rooms. Oh, sorry about that. It's sort of reminiscent of the infinite rooms that are in not Paper Mario. Well, there is something like this in Paper Mario 1, but in the Mario platformers and some of the Bowser dungeons, there were levels that would go on forever if you didn't take the right pathway. And I do like this sort of room because it's sort of reminiscent of that same sort of idea, only done in a slightly different way. Paper Mario 1, like I said earlier, had this same exact sort of puzzle, only instead of going through the door that had the torch lit in front of it, there were a whole bunch of torches lit at the beginning of the section, and you had to remember the order of them, like up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, or something like that. I don't remember the exact order. But anyway, this is interesting. I like this area, but it's just sort of odd. We got out of one odd room just to find another. It's so huge, like an underground city almost. What is this place? It's actually speculated that the Palace's Shadow, the Rogueport, the Rogueport sewers, and The Rogueport sewers in the Palace of Shadow pretty much comprise of all of the old city that fell to the Cataclysm before the game started. The Palace of Shadow mostly being the palace of the city, and the Rogueport sewers being the remains of what the city was mostly like. Though I gotta say that this is the most extravagant castle I've ever seen, ever. I mean, this place is fucking huge. Even Bowser's castle wasn't this big. But yeah, a pretty simple... Oh, fuck, chain chomps. Yeah, chain chomped enemies. We fought a few guys like these in Paper Mario... Oh, actually, we did fight guys like these in Paper Mario 1. But in the Glitz Pit, we fought enemies like this. In this game, they're a little... Well, in this chapter, sorry. In this chapter, they're a little bit more annoying. Mostly just because they've got 5 fucking defense, which is obnoxious. So, Miss Mouse and Leon are your best friends. Use Miss Mouse's slap attacks, use Leon's gulp ability. Both are very, very good for this. If you've got Earth Tremor, use that. If you've got items, it's not necessarily a bad idea. Not a good idea, but not a bad idea either. And if all else fails, they're relatively easy to super guard. But I just said fuck it. Star, Storm. Actually, Shooting Star. That was the first game. Anyway, yeah, but thankfully they give a lot of experience points at least. But yeah, other than their obnoxiously high defense, they're not too big of a deal. Just remember to keep super guarding and you'll be fine. But now what we gotta do is we gotta go press that... Oh, fuck, another chain jump. Haha, skipped you. I was trying to use the spring jump on him out of battle. It's a little bit harder to do than just the normal ground pound jump. But all you have to do is press both buttons, and then you can get into that middle area there. And that's actually one of my favorite parts of the dungeon, is going into that big tower there, because it's almost like a dungeon within the dungeon. And I actually find it really cool. It also has one of the best music pieces in the game, I find. But anyway, yeah, we're going to go there, actually, next part. So, yeah, I've still got another 20 seconds to fill for space, and I don't want to... Okay, now's the right time. Okay, so anyway, next part, we're going to be solving some riddles and going into the dungeon. This ending's rather lackluster, yeah, I know. I'm ExandShadow, and I'll see you guys later.